Howdy, folks. Revival House Network. Aaron and Zach here.
What's up?
I'll tell you what's up. We decided that we wanted to do a bit of a series overview for Ash vs. Evil Dead. I almost said Angela's Ashes. That's not what we watched at all.
What the fuck is that?
I almost said Avenging Angelo. We didn't watch that either. It's a Stallone movie. Actually, I think it was a Michael Caine movie originally. But and then it was remade. Regardless, that's going off the beaten path. So, Ash vs. Evil Dead Season 3 just dropped on Blu-ray last week. I waited to watch it, to when I could binge it. So I got my copy this past week. And
I didn't. I watched it as it aired, so I might be a little fuzzy on it.
Well, so it was... I burned through it. I thought I was going to get through it in a single night, but I got tired and I did it in 2 sittings. But man, I know it was 10 episodes, just like the second season, but is it me or did season 3? Oh, you didn't binge it. You nickel and dimed it, didn't you?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I couldn't do that, man. But it went by faster than season 2.
Mm-hmm.
Because something about the third season, if you noticed, it was like nonstop action.
Mm-hmm.
It was just action, which is great. It was awesome. Season 2 was amazing as well. But, we had like the him and his dad story arc and stuff and the bonding stuff, stuff that kind of slowed it down a little bit. In not a bad way, though. But this was just gory action, like nonstop. But
right.
Since we haven't talked about it, we figured, why do just an overview on season 3? Let's talk about the whole series. It was only 3 seasons. Like we can build a chat around that.
Mm-hmm.
So what is your overall opinion of the series?
I really likes it, baby. What about you?
I loved it. So when the first season came out, I was super stoked for it. And, I watched it. When I watched the first 2 episodes, and I got to be honest with you, after watching the first 3 episodes, whatever it was, I, just kind of took my time watching the rest of it. I just thought the first season was okay, to be honest with you. Right? I did. I mean, it was good.
I think it's the weakest, but
it is the weakest.
I think the first 2 episodes are great.
Yeah, the second episode's really great,
mm-hmm.
where he meets Kelly's parents at the house.
Mm-hmm.
That's the second episode. That one was
hilarious
awesome.
Episode
where he's like, "Yeah, you're cooking as shit," and he blasts her with a shotgun.
Did you think for a sec, like, whenever he fucking hit her or whatever, did you think like, oh, he fucked up?
He was wrong. Dude, everything was great. Because I think that was the first moment in the series that we had like that, where he was convinced somebody was a Deadite, but we didn't know yet. It's like, okay, we're kind of new to this series. Maybe he did fuck up.
Mm-hmm.
Like they couldn't pull that gag in the third season because but yeah, it was so good. That episode is amazing. And I rewatched the first season, for I think the bulk of it some months ago, because I was hanging out with my brother and I put it on Netflix because he hadn't seen the second season. I'm like, let's watch it. Let's watch this first season first. And even going back and rewatching it after I had seen the second season, because I had just watched season 2 and I loved it. My opinion of it still stands. I watched season 2 blown away. Then I went back and watched season 1 again. And I'm like, yeah, it's just not as good as season 2.
It seems like in season 2, they upped their budget, like less CGI, blood, and stuff like that.
They just went all out. The blood was Evil Dead 2-esque in the second season. It was great. Yeah, I agree with you. Which blows me away. Usually once a show proves themselves, then the studios will throw more cash at them. I thought Ash vs. Evil Dead was kind of always on the bubbling line of being canceled, so I don't understand why we had more money thrown at them, because it did look like they did. But
they greenlit a second season like weeks before the first episode aired too.
Yeah, so I don't know if early ratings were really good and then the piracy stuff started happening, because I imagine the piracy thing would really start happening after the first season's done, right?
Probably through the first season too.
Yeah, so maybe early signs were really good. But the first season, I liked it. I can't think, besides the second episode is the only one that really stands out. Obviously, there's the first episode, but the second episode, that's amazing. Now, the first episode, when I was watching it, I really enjoyed it and I really liked it. I remember being down that due to obviously some licensing issues. They couldn't call it S-Mart. He was working at, what was it, Value Stop or Value Mart? What is it called?
Yeah. I just assumed he got another job. He just works at fucking convenience stores.
No, clearly they had something going on with Army of Darkness, right? Because they didn't mention, they were dancing around the whole Army of Darkness thing, and they kept referring everything to like Evil Dead 2, right?
They didn't have the rights to use Army of Darkness until season 3, I guess.
So that's what I'm saying. That's why they avoided S-Mart, because that was part of Army of Darkness. That's what I always figured.
Mm-hmm.
So what happens with season 3? In season 3, they showed a clip. No, they didn't. They didn't show a clip. I thought they kept showing the Evil Dead 2 clip when he's in the Middle Earth times at the end. That's what they always showed.
I know they got permission to actually acknowledge that Army of Darkness happened. Maybe they didn't use any footage from it still.
Maybe I missed that. How did they acknowledge it in the show? Because I remember they were talking about opening up the time rips or like the vortexes, to go into the that like weird afterworld life. And as soon as they mentioned like the whole time rips or whatever, he kind of had a look on his face and he mentioned like, oh, I've done that before, And then it showed a quick flashback. But it was, if I recall, it was the Evil Dead 2 stuff again, where it was, hail, hail, hail. But I don't know. I didn't catch that. But that was kind of a bummer. But Evil Dead 2 is technically my favorite one. And obviously, if they're acknowledging Evil Dead 2... Well, hold on. Obviously, if they're acknowledging Evil Dead 2, they're not acknowledging Evil Dead 1 because 2 kind of takes the place of 1. Or did they? No, because, Ashy Slashy, which, by the way, I love that whole backstory they gave him, where he just became this urban legend. That was incredible. Because it's funny to me how they took a character that was extremely one-dimensional, like they all were in the first Evil Dead. There was nothing to them. They were just bland. And here we are 30, 40 years later, and they gave him all this crazy arc. So, but yeah, when they were talking about the Ashy Slashy lore, they kept saying he murdered his sister. Mm-hmm. Did he? Or are they saying but his sister was in the first one?
I never even got that she was a sister in the original movie until the series. I thought she was just a friend that happened to be there with him.
Yeah, they don't point that out in the movie very well. That none of that's really.
Maybe it wasn't in the original, but they kind of wrote that in.
I don't think it was. So if they keep referring to him as chopping up his sister, then that sort of goes against Evil Dead 2, right? Because he just took his girlfriend up there. Am I correct?
No, Evil Dead 2. They just they recreated the first part and didn't. You're just not supposed to notice the inconsistencies.
Yeah, no, Evil Dead 2, they remake the first Evil Dead in about the first 5 minutes. But, no, they legit show him driving up to the cabin as if one never happened, but it's just him and his girlfriend, played by Bridget Fonda, I think. Isn't that her?
They originally wanted to, show the original footage, but they couldn't because he lost the rights. And then they had to just use what money they had left, and they didn't want to hire a whole new cast of all the characters.
So yeah, that's an inconsistency, because if I'm not incorrect on that, in the second one, he just took his girlfriend. They rewrote the first movie, but they just kind of fucking nixed all the friends and stuff and the sister, and which is fine. But in the show, I believe Ashy Slashy, they killed his sister. That's what they kept mentioning, I think. So that is a bit of an inconsistency, because clearly it's going off 2 because he's got the chainsaw hand and there's all the nods to 2 and stuff. But I think it's great, man. So season 1, I think the episodes ranged from good. There was one or two great ones, and there was honestly a couple of fillers. Didn't you say there was an episode you think they could have removed altogether?
Fire in the Hole, the one where they're in the bunker with the military militia. I don't think it's a bad episode. It felt like a detour that didn't need to be taken. It just kind of slowed down.
So, and I'm foggy on that. I can't remember it. What place in the arc was that story?
This is episode 6.
Interesting. Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, it was kind of all over the map. I mean, like I said, it was solid. I liked it. The first episode, I gotta admit, the first episode was funny. There was a lot of gags and whatnot. But dude, they lost me at that fucking CGI baby doll he was fighting.
Oh, you're a pussy.
Well, not only did it look bad, but it just wasn't funny. I didn't think it was very good. And I'm like, well, I mean, I know they pulled gimmicks like that throughout the series with silly stuff, but it works better later in the series. Like, if it's the first episode and we're getting introduced to Ash, wasn't that like the first Deadite he came across because he was in the store? He was still working in the store. That's not the first thing I want to see.
I don't think it was the first one.
I think it was like, I don't know. It was a little off-putting.
The first one's the chick he bones in the bathroom.
Oh, yeah. That was great. But I don't know. I guess that's why I like the second episode so much, because it was very Evil Dead 2-y. And the mom, she even levitated, like old school, I think. I want to say. Mm-hmm. But it was great. So, but season 2, that's where, dude, I got that last year when that came out on Blu-ray, and I binged that. And it was totally unlike the first season. I couldn't stop. I was into it.
It was all killer, no filler.
It was all, and the thing is it was even way better than like the best episodes of season 1.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like it's every episode was firing at an 11.
And that's when the 2 other characters became likable. Because in the first season, they were just kind of there for me.
What are you referring to?
The 2 other characters, Pablo and Kelly.
Yeah. And you know what? Maybe that's just the natural arc and getting to know them and just getting used to them. But man, I really like them in the second, third season.
I was bummed when fucking Pablo died. Well, kind of died.
Yeah. So when they first announced the series, Ash vs. Evil Dead, and that it wasn't just Ash vs. Evil Dead and he had like buddies, I thought it was cheesy. I'm like, what? Mm-hmm. Like, why does he need all these like pals and stuff? I mean, I get there's got to be supporting characters. And you know, I went along with it for the first season, but man, dude, you love those characters, especially into the second and the third season. You liked every one of them.
Mm-hmm.
And, yeah, they fired on all cylinders with seasons 2. Like you said, all killer, no filler. Season 2 was great because it was very broad. It went a lot of places. Like you had some classic, just straight up gory episodes. You had them introduce Lee Majors as Ash's dad, which is hilarious. That whole arc, the father-son thing was great. That's where they introduced the Ashy Slashy lore. He goes back to his hometown in Michigan, and you get a piece of that, which is insane. They have the whole episode or 2 where he's in the mental institution,
mm-hmm.
which there's the puppet. It's like, what the hell? And then there's the whole episode where he's like brainwashed and Ash is actually hunting down his friends in the hospital. And it's like a slasher movie.
Mm-hmm.
The whole episode's like a slasher movie. So they really went everywhere with this. And then, of course, you had Ball, that villain or whatever, which I liked him too, which
he was decent, but he didn't have he was okay. Like everything else was perfect. You didn't even really need
Ball.
Yeah. He could have not even been there.
Yeah, I mean, you had Lucy Lawless. You had Lucy Lawless filling the shoes. I know she was kind of good in the second season because in the third season we were dealing with her from the past. Am I right or am I wrong?
Yeah, something like that. I need to watch it again.
So, yeah, I probably should have watched all of them again. But
they kind of teamed up for the second season. And Ashy Slashy is actually the second highest rating episode in the season, and the first one's Home Again, the episode after it.
Yeah, dude, those are great. And that's where the schlock really works well. Like the puppet, it works so well once you're that deep into the series.
Henrietta showing up again was awesome.
Dude, that was when they go back to the cabin in the woods and they're basically, they're trying to go back. I think were they trying to go back after the events of the first one? Or no, they were trying to
stop the events from happening, like stop him from even the guy that recorded the tape.
Yeah. But they ended up going at the wrong time. Oh, they were too late, right? And he had already killed Henrietta.
Yeah.
Something like that. Yeah. And they watched the doctor kill like a college kid. That whole scene was really creepy. Brought her there to tutor her out in the middle of the woods. But dude, that to me, it'd be hard not to award that whole episode the best of the series just because it's total fan service.
Yeah.
I mean, it'd be hard not to.
It was split up into 2, the Home Again and then Second Coming. I don't remember which one of the 2 it was. The last 2 episodes took place at the cabin.
That arc is amazing. Just the whole time travel thing. And the season itself has such a great ending, man, where they come back and he had altered time and he was a hero.
Mm-hmm.
It was just very satisfying. It was very, very satisfying.
almost more of a completely wrapped up ending than the third season ending.
No, I agree. So, and as far as, so that was the best episodes to me, just when they went back to the cabin. You can't not give it to that. You had Ted Raimi reprising his role as Henrietta, which is fucking, dude, that whole fight was amazing. Remember when his like, God, what was it? His nipples were shooting the milk or whatever?
Mm-hmm.
That was so fucking gross.
The other character, the buddy character he played in the season 2 was funny.
Yeah, and you know what? It's funny because I kind of forgot about him.
Mm-hmm. He died like after like 4 or 5 episodes.
But that's what I like, man. Season 1, 2, and 3 really do stand apart from each other. They're not more the same. You know, season 2 has Ball. Season 2 has the good version of Lucy Lawless. Season 2 has Ted Raimi. And then season 3 has its own things. And obviously season 2 introduced Lee Majors, which, by the way, I give that the honor of being the funniest moment of the whole second season when Lee Majors gets hit by the car. Dude, I died. You know, because that was the cold end of the episode, which is great. And he's like, I think that was right before Lee Majors, his dad, saw a deadite in his own eyes, and he realized his son was not bullshitting.
He finally realizes he was telling the truth.
Yeah, and he's going out there, and they're about to have this moment. Like, as soon as before he can spurt any words out of his mouth, fucking Ash's car, fucking slams into him, and just he throws his hands in the air, no, and then it ends. Dude, like, if there's anything that Bruce Campbell and those guys know, it's timing. You know, that's his entire comedy. It's timing. You know, I mean, he tells a lot of fucking dad jokes. A lot of grandpa jokes, but they're so timed out well that they're the funniest damn thing ever. And case in point, you know, his dad getting creamed by that vehicle is pretty cool. But yeah, I mean, so before we move on from season 2, do we agree on that being your favorite episode too, or do you have another highlight? And what would you say is your favorite, maybe Ash quote or funniest part?
Yeah, that would be one of my favorites. Yeah. See, episode 2, the morgue, was another highlight.
Yeah.
It seems like season 2, they always kind of throw in some good gross out, or episode 2, they always throw in a good gross out thing. And I don't know, episode 2 of every season kind of stands out for me.
It's so funny, but I really do want to watch the whole series again. Like, I already want to start it over.
Yeah.
But no, I almost just want to watch season 3 again, but it's like, you know, maybe I should watch 1, 2, and 3.
I'd like to see like the fan edit community make like, you know, Evil Dead 4, and it's the first season put as a movie, and then 5, 6, and they do it with the other 2 seasons.
Yeah. Oh, but it's, you know what, we're not going to get it in the official sense because obviously Bruce Campbell has said, hey, no more Ash. I'm done now. You guys got us canceled, so fuck you guys. That's basically what he said. But
you know what's stupid too is remember whenever it was leading up to like, oh, they might not renew it. Remember there were like a subset of people that were like, I hope they do fucking cancel it, and then Netflix will pick it up.
It's not how it works.
I wanted to smash these people with my fist.
It's not. Netflix and other studios don't just buy sinking TV shows.
Yeah, the rights don't work like that. Yeah.
Oh, and even if they did, like, yeah, we'll pick up that fucking sinking ship.
Exactly.
Why? Who does that?
They were stupid.
You know?
Fuck those people. I'm not gonna watch it because I hope it's fucking canceled so that and Netflix can get it.
With that said, Netflix are fucking idiots for passing up on it. You know, so I really do think. Well, I don't know. I really would have liked to have seen how it would have fared on Netflix. I wish I could, go to the.
Really weird because Netflix kind of just puts out every year. They got like a couple of TV series that are like, why the fuck did you think that was a good idea?
Well, you've seen that joke on one of the newer South Park episodes where they pitched the Coon movie to Netflix.
Yeah.
And they call up and what's that? Like, Netflix, you're greenlit.
That's just their opening line. Yeah.
Because they greenlight everything. And it's true. They have so much stuff now. And it's not all good. I mean, there's a lot of great stuff still, but it's not all good. So it really blows me away that they turned down an established property with a built-in fan base.
Especially when it's linked to Evil Dead, which was a movie they had.
It's a built-in audience.
They've had Evil Dead on their streaming for so long.
You know, but at the same time, I mean, like I said, while it would have been interesting to see in an alternate timeline if Evil Dead would still be on today, If it was on Netflix, I think it very well could be. Because like I said, man, they let some shows just go on. And not to mention, here's the thing. All those people that were downloading Ash vs. Evil Dead that wanted to binge watch it and all that shit. Dude, these people don't own Stars, but they have Netflix because everybody has Netflix. Even the broke ass fucking wanksters that don't have it, they're using somebody else's, right?
Mm-hmm.
Everybody has access to Netflix. It's almost like basic cable or just like a local channel at this point. So with the binge watch mentality that we're in this generation and the fact that everybody's got Netflix at their disposal, dude, I really think Ash vs. Evil Dead would still be on.
Mm-hmm.
I really do. Because that's all Netflix cares about, man. They want to see, they're all about those first week rushes, right? When a show drops. And dude, I guarantee you everybody just would have binged the fuck out of it. And this show is a binge show. I don't know how you nickel and dimed it this last season because the episodes are only 30 to 40 minutes. Like they vary, but they're so short.
It runs so much better watching them in a marathon.
It really does. Like I can't imagine watching a half-hour show and just getting that. It's not enough. I mean, I'm spoiled. I can't go back to it. That's one of those things I just can't go back to. And so I nickel and dime the first season and I fucking hated it. And that's probably a contributing factor as to why I didn't, indulge and get so into it because it was like I had to wait till each episode aired and I watched it was just tedious. Season 2, man, I got to sit down, lay in bed, dude, just fucking binge watch for 5 hours.
Even when I'm watching a show on TV, I don't even watch them one at a time. I usually wait till the DVR is loaded up. But with Evil Dead or Ash vs. Evil Dead, I couldn't. I had to watch them all as soon as they dropped.
I'm glad that I waited though, because I see it more. It's like a movie. It's like a giant miniseries. I'd rather watch 5 hours of a season. That's just fucking awesome. So but anyway, I digress. I think it would still be on today if it was on Netflix. But that aside, in a weird way, I do think it's kind of cool. It's not associated with Netflix because being a Netflix original series has almost become a bit of a novelty now, don't you think?
Mm-hmm.
It's just so to me, but I guess it's really no difference than being an HBO series or being a Stars or whatever. But anyway, it is what it is. At least we got 3 seasons. I think 3 seasons is the bare minimum I would have wanted out of it to get something out of the story. You can't have anything less than 3. 2 would have just been, ridiculous. But with that said, after I watched season 3, now I know that they were kind of expecting the possibility of not being picked up for season 4. So they made sure to end 3 in a way that would be satisfying enough.
Mm-hmm.
So, and they did tie it up. That's fine. But dude, when I got done watching it, I still wanted more.
Exactly. You ever notice like whenever a show ends, you kind of go through a little mini grieving process?
Yeah.
This show was like that for like you lose these characters you got to know, and it's weird. It's a weird feeling.
I thought when season 3 was all said and done, even though, like I said, they wrapped it up in a little bow and everything, I still felt like, man, this could have still been fantastic for at least 1 more, maybe even 2 more seasons.
Mm-hmm.
I honestly don't think any show should go past 5 seasons. To me, Breaking Bad, they kind of set the standard, right? Did you watch Breaking Bad?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, 5 seasons, perfect. That show did not overstay its welcome. It didn't become The Walking Dead. We're entering season 9 on that show, and it hasn't been good in 5 seasons. It's ridiculous.
Breaking Bad really got good with season 3 and 4 too.
4 is the best, man. Season 4 is tops. And I like season 5 too, but season 5 isn't as good as season 4.
Season 5 felt more like, we got to wrap
closure.
it up.
Yeah, it did. Season 5 was all about closure, which is good too. But dude, season 4, you got Los Pollos Loco, you got Gus and everybody coming to their end. You got him really coming to power, the whole say my name. He came full circle bad. He evolved. And you had, I think Hank got killed at the end of season 4, right? Yeah.
I think season 5 he was still in. Season 4 ended with him like realizing that he
Gotcha.
Yeah.
But when I watched that show and I finished season 5, yeah, I went through those like withdrawals, like you said, where I felt sad. But man, I also had a sense of completion, though. I felt like it was completed. I felt like it was done its due diligence. Ash vs. Evil Dead, I didn't feel like that. Yes, they ended it, but man, like when it was done, I was sad because I was sad when season 2. Remember, I told you after I binge watched season 2, I told you whenever I did that, I was like, man, I'm sad it's done. Like I wanted more.
Mm-hmm.
It's like 10 episodes at 30 to 40 minutes a piece or whatever. It's like, man, it's only 5 hours.
Yeah,
it's not that much, and so we got that again with season 3, and the show. Here's the thing: the ending. It might be jumping the gun a little bit because I want to talk about season 3, but the ending, for what they had to work with, was fitting.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's just like Ash has done in the past. The fact that he wakes up in a post-apocalyptic future with like cybernetic technology that healed him, and it's like a Mad Max world, dude, and he's got like the gray hair. It's so ridiculous. It's
super Evil Dead too. Like it seems like they can never put a nice bow at the end of the movie, or they just have to like set it up for the next thing.
It was very much in Evil Dead fashion, because you watch Army of Darkness and you can watch whatever ending you want of that movie because there's the multiple whatever, but
I prefer the S-Mart ending.
Yeah, me too. So,
which is kind of funny because they kind of went full circle, because the original ending of that, he was in a post-apocalyptic kind of.
Exactly. This yeah. I get confused though. The S-Mart ending is the theatrical ending, right?
Right. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. The post-apocalyptic was the one that didn't make it, where he's got like the beard and shit.
Did you hear the rumors that like Evil Dead 4 was going to be like, one of the ideas was they were going to like basically go off the canon of both endings, and there was going to be 2 timelines, 2 Ashes, and they were going to kind of meet at some point?
No.
That would have been fucking weird. Yeah, that was an idea they had. So,
well, you remember at first when they did the Fede Alvarez Evil Dead, and when that was a hit, it made its money back or whatever. Then they're like, okay, this gives us weight. And remember, they announced Army of Darkness 2.
Mm-hmm.
So, and it was weird how they were calling it Army of Darkness 2, because I think it goes back to that whole dispute rights, right? To who the name and the title. So it sounds to me like Universal, they would have had to gone through Universal because they owned whatever, and they had to call it Army of Darkness 2. Can't call it Evil Dead 4 or whatever. So had they gone forward with the film thing, they would have called it Army of Darkness 2. And I was okay with that, because essentially the series ignores Army of Darkness. Why? Because at the end of Army of Darkness, once again, it leaves off with another chapter that should be coming. And here we are. You go 25 years and we never get it. That's why it makes sense for the series to end like that too. Like, what the fuck happens? And we're never going to know. Because we've already gotten used to that for a quarter of a century. But the next step in the chronological order would have been, well, okay, the Deadites were on Earth. He changed the fabric of time or whatever. And so you'd think Evil Dead 4 or Army of Darkness 2 would be basically that, like the world overran by Deadites. And it kind of is what was happening on the show, right?
Mm-hmm,
they were coming in real life. So, it just would have been kind of like that. I don't know if it would have had like all the supporting characters and stuff, but I think we more or less got a similar vibe with the show. And to be honest with you, maybe the show was better getting the series. We got more content. We got more of an arc. And I'll say it right now, I like Ash vs. Evil Dead better than I do Army of Darkness. I do.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. You don't?
I love Army of Darkness, but I like the show a lot. I wouldn't really compare them. It's just kind of a continuation.
The show, but it's not a continuation of Army of Darkness. They kind of just ignore it. But I think the show has, I know Evil Dead 2 got pretty slapsticky, like a lot of Three Stooges inspired shit, with him fighting himself. But overall, it got really slapsticky and almost action like with the Army of Darkness. I think the TV show kind of took that element and they mixed it with the gore of 2, and they got something amazing. Because Army of Darkness, to me, it really does feel like a PG-13 movie.
Yeah.
When I look at that movie and I look at the back of it and I see it's R-rated, it blows me away because I always forget. It just always seems like a PG-13 movie to me. Everything about it. It's not bloody. There's one F-bomb in it when he says, "Get the fuck off of me," which is really funny. But there's only one, and it makes sense because they're in Middle Earth times. But that's the only one. And
you're allowed a single fucking PG-13 now, though.
Yeah, you are. But there's no language. And like I said, there's no violence. And just the tone of it's not very dark. It's not very dark. It just feels like, I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
You know what it kind of reminded me of? It kind of reminded me of those, why can't I spit it out? The fuck. What am I thinking? What's like those movies with the Greek mythology movies? Help me out.
Clash of the Titans
and movies like that. It reminded me of that. And they even had like the stop motion, like Deadites, the war and stuff. It reminded me of a movie like that.
It's got violence, but it's very cartoony violence, like old school cartoon.
It's very cartoony. So everything about it just reminds me of like a PG-13 movie, which is just as fun. It seems like a movie that, here's the thing. There's a reason why they play Army of Darkness on syndication all the time. It's not weird for you to turn on TBS at 2 p.m. and see Army of Darkness on TV, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's not weird to watch Army of Darkness while the sun is shining in broad daylight in the afternoon. It's not. Evil Dead 2 or Evil Dead 1, it is weird. Those movies, they're shown late at night. So they're tonally, there's a big thing going on there. But
funny enough, like whenever the news for the show first came out, I was like, I hope I hope it's not just very comedic. I hope there's some horror elements in there. I hope it's more like the original, because that's my favorite. But what we ended up getting was too good, and I like it anyway, even though it's not very scary.
They couldn't go back to, dude, Bruce Campbell is Bruce Campbell. He's a caricature, right?
Mm-hmm.
What are they going to say? Hey, you act serious. When he tried to act serious, he wasn't a good actor. He can't not be hammy. It's kind of who he is. Like, you remember when you had no character at all and you had no personality and you did that fucking weird ass pointless scene where you were opening your eye open, with your fucking girlfriend for 5 minutes? Let's do that again. It's not going to work. So I thought they nailed it.
Like that, whenever in the last episode of season 3, when he gives his daughter that necklace that he gave to his girlfriend in the original movie.
Yeah, that was a nice touch.
I was hoping for a moment, like towards the end, where it turns out that that's the fucking thing they needed the whole time to defeat the monsters. And like he just now figured it out. I was hoping they tied it in like that. And they could have been going for that with the next season, but they didn't in the last episode.
So let's explore the third season. I know we kind of jumped to the end, but the arcs were great, man. You had Pablo taking on this role as like some shaman guy or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And it was cool. Like his character evolved and grew from season 2. And we got the sweet episode where Lee Majors came back in the form of a ghost, which was fucking cheesy as shit. He's like, I can see through you. It was like some Jimmy Stewart stuff,
Mm-hmm.
So, it was crazy, man. That episode was so, dude, when he like the Ghost of Christmas Past, it was like fucking Jimmy Stewart movie. What's that damn movie?
Wonderful Life.
It's Wonderful Life. And I think he even mentioned that in the show. You ever seen A Wonderful Life? Okay.
And they did it similar to episode 2 where he wasn't sure if it was really him or not.
Yeah, it's so funny. Oh, that whole scene was great when they brought him from the dead and he met the daughter. Dude, that whole thing was great. I like the whole playing back and forth of him just meeting his daughter and he can't convince her that he's not crazy because he always finds himself in a situation where he murdered somebody.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's so funny. And then she meets the grandpa who's back from the dead. And then when she's not around, he beats the fuck out of him and slaughter. And she, of course, walks in during that moment.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, oh, you don't understand. He was a demon. Dude, it's so the whole thing was so well done. And when the ghost dad arrived, not Bill Cosby, but, this ghost dad, when he arrived and he took him back in time to the shop, the hardware shop, dude, when that guy comes in, because there's that whole arc with the ash worshippers, those people, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Those weird knights, which, I don't know, when that guy came to the store, dude, when he fucking pushes him down the stairs and he murders him, That was hilarious. That whole thing with them watching, and
he just left him down there for years.
And he locked it. And then the interaction of Ash and his ghost dad, and then him and Lee Majors going back and forth, and his reactions to watching his dad push him down the stairs. Like, that's your big secret? That's your big shame? I was like, that's all I got. That's what he had to show him. And I loved it when in real time they went back down there to find, I guess, the pages from the Necronomicon. Dude, I loved it. And he's like, that fucker stole my spam. Dude, he was still alive the whole time, which is that made it even better. That he wasn't even dead. He was down there struggling, eating canned food, surviving, and suffering a long death.
I'm looking forward to watching through the season again because, I haven't watched it since because I watched every episode as they aired, and so I watched.
Yeah, dude, you'll get more out of it. I think you'll get something out of it to watch. I want to watch it again anyway. But and I love their dynamic between Bruce Campbell and Lee Majors. It kind of reminds me. I mean, it's not the same. But it's a similar like spark the way Harrison Ford and Sean Connery in the third Indiana Jones movie, which I'm not a fan of the series, but that one's the best one because they're funny. They're Junior and their fucking father son. Same thing, dude. I could watch Lee Majors and Ash all day long. I thought they were great. And you know what? When they announced that Ash's daughter was going to be in the show in the season 3. At that point, I had already gotten used to season 2 and I liked the core group. And sure, introducing another character possibly threatened some other characters taking the backseat, which I think maybe they did a little bit, because if you noticed, Pablo was kind of like in a sub story. He wasn't with Ash a lot. Same thing with Kelly, he was more with his daughter, but they nailed it though. Like they gave everybody equal pacing, equal time, and they even were able to weave everybody together. And I actually liked his daughter a lot. I thought I didn't know what to think about that. I'm like, oh man, we're going to do this. It was great. I thought she was funny. She was good. And
I was on board. I didn't I had enough faith in them that I was like, yeah, I'm sure they'll pull it off. I never really, because I know a lot of people are like, I don't introduce his daughter. Like a lot of people hate that whenever they kind of just introduce.
What about the tease? What about the tease that they were going to reenact Evil Dead 2 and like she was going to saw her hand off in that shed?
Oh, I was fine with that. Yeah.
But they didn't do it though. It was like a fake out.
Oh yeah.
Because there was that little thing running around that was, in the shed with her. It was just like Evil Dead 2. And they were kind of hinting like, oh, she's going to do it too. And it didn't happen, but it was so fun. I'm glad they didn't do it. I think how they did it was perfect. But yeah, so this season, we got the daughter, we got all the existing characters kind of growing, and we had the altered timeline Lucy Lawless. She's the evil one again because the good one died. And, she's got now she's the main villain, more or less, not the ball guy. And she's basically trying to create another chosen one based off Ash to take his place so she can kill Ash. And that whole fucking thing was great, man. How she had the baby and it just rips out of her. And that little demon baby, and she kidnapped that foreign chick and had her chained up. It's just, it's so ridiculous. And, you always got to have a clone, a doppelganger of Ash. And this one was awesome. This one was the best. I love this guy. I loved when he grew up. Why did he have like the mutated DNA saw on his hand?
Oh, maybe that was just some way to let you know which one was which.
Well, no, because it was pointless because when he grew up, all she did was saw it off anyway because she had to look just like him. Remember? Oh, it hurts, Mom.
Oh, yeah.
And he's sawing off his own hand. So it's like if they were just going to make him saw off the hand to put on a real saw to convince everybody anyway, why'd they put the mutated fucking saw that he was born with?
Maybe so that the baby had it for those scenes when he was fighting with the baby.
I don't think he used it, though. Did he? Did he really use it? I didn't really know.
You saw it sooner than I have. I need to watch it again.
But it's just for the sake of schlock because it's Evil Dead. Because it doesn't even make sense why the saw would carry over in any DNA.
Yeah,
it doesn't make any sense. But it's just funny, man. It's really funny and clever. And yeah, we got different set pieces that wouldn't have been found in season 2, like the whole high school. That was cool. I liked all that. I loved when the clone Ash was going in there and just sawing up the students and acting like a fucking bozo the whole time. It was great. It was good stuff, man. I have no complaints about it. And, even when they introduced, the Ash worshippers, that whole, like those knights, at first I was like, all right, this is going to be stupid. But you know what? That didn't bother me one bit.
There would be people that did that since,
he changed time. He changed I think that's a product of that because he became a legend. And I mean, it makes sense.
One thing I did notice and I was bummed about was that they put a lot of love and care into the Blu-rays of season 1 and 2. There were special features and stuff. This one, it's like, oh, the show got canceled. We'll put it out there and we'll shit it out and we'll be done with that. The only things on there, like, they did commentaries again, which are cool, but there's no, like, behind the scenes.
I'd have to sit and compare the special features between the 3 because I don't really recall. The third one has some stuff. There's a little bit of behind the scenes, but I was watching a couple of them and they're real short. So.
Oh, they're not listed on the back of the box then.
Yeah, there's like little things. There's definitely special features. But like I said, maybe it is not even with the way the first 2 were. I'd have to go back and look at them, but there's stuff on there. But no, man, I loved it. I don't have any. And dude, I think the third act of that season was great. Him going against that big beast, the dark one. The dark one, is that what they call it? I think
so, yeah.
That was great. The way they wrapped it up in a bow, like I said, and they had Ash sort of playing the martyr again, and he puts them into that ambulance in the back, and he kind of locks it, and he tells his daughter, goodbye, I got to do this, I got to, whatever. And that was a cool moment where she's like, hey, you promised you wouldn't leave me, and he literally lies like fucking 5 minutes later, but he's sacrificing, and he gets in that fucking tank, man. That whole scene's great. It's very rewarding. Like, it's like, all right, he's gonna be the hero. But like I said, it's really somber knowing that was legit the last time he saw all those characters, Pablo, Kelly, and his daughter, when he closed that door and he, sent them off.
Well, it seems to imply that, like, yeah, they're still alive when he wakes up. Well, it doesn't really let you know. It just says, we'll tell you about them.
Yeah, it doesn't. Yeah, we don't know. So he destroys the thing, which is great. I think it collapses and it falls on him is what happens. It falls on him in the tank, something like that. I guess he gets knocked out, and there's like the foggy or whatever, and someone's dragging him away. And I guess it's somebody with some kind of resistance. Maybe it's more Ash worshiper type people.
I think that's what it was implying. Yeah.
Okay. So, and they froze him. I don't understand because. They must have froze him because I get it. He woke up and he had like skunk hair, but it looks like he woke up about 1,000 years in the future. So
yeah,
his aging probably still slowed a bit. But
if I had to guess, I'd assume that either they like his daughter, everybody's there too, or maybe they're even like upgraded to be robot versions of them for like what would have been the other season.
That's what I'm asking because, like I said, they kind of closed it that way just in case. But had they gotten another season. How would that season have gone? Would it have been as good as because it would have been like a Mad Max world.
You know what? I'll tell you right now, like, I very rarely like movies set in a post-apocalyptic setting. So I don't know what the other season would have been like.
Maybe, does it work better as an ending?
Yeah, maybe.
Another thing too, though, it's so weird. Like I said, it makes knowing that the last time we were going to see those characters, last time he saw those characters, when he sent him off in that ambulance, it makes it even kind of more like sad. I know it's kind of weird because it's Evil Dead. Because he wakes up and he's in the future and he doesn't know what's going on. And like instantly he sees a hot fucking robot babe and he's checking her out and he's all excited and he gets in the car. Groovy. Dude, it's kind of sad because he's still Ash, but literally before he got knocked unconscious, he was actually learning to be a good father and he was sacrificing for his daughter. And he wakes up 1,000 years in the future and, for all he knows, they're all fucking dead and he doesn't give a shit.
Yeah.
He's just like, he's back to the old groovy Ash and he's got cybernetics. Like, yeah, my buddy Pablo and all these guys, they're dead. Okay. All right.
See, I assume they'd still be there. Like, they probably weren't gonna, I don't know. Yeah.
Part of me thinks that they would have just done a full like 180 on it and just changed the course of the show and he would have got new characters.
I don't know. Yeah.
It reminds me, did you ever watch Californication? So Californication, David Duchovny, that's an amazing show, by the way. But I think it went on like 8 seasons. The last 3 seasons, it's like the main arc of the show ends after season 5. And it's like the show ends. But it got renewed for a 6th season. And they completely changed everything. Like, literally, he's now working a new job. All the characters he knew and loved are gone, except for like his partner and maybe like one person.
Did it end for like a year or 2 and then they got it back, or was it just immediate?
That maybe I'm not sure. I watched it after the show had ended. I binge watched it.
Maybe it was like a revival later.
No,
on.
it wasn't like a huge revival. Like there was a huge gap. I don't know. Okay. No, it was pretty consistent. But
yeah, that'd be weird.
It seems like that. It's like, wow. It's like, okay, the show, and I get it. It's like after 5 seasons, there's nowhere really else they can go with the story, and it ended where it needed to end. So it's like, okay, well, maybe end the show. No, they continued, and they did 3 more seasons the show had a completely different tone, different characters, different stuff was going. I mean, in the first 5 seasons, he was an alcoholic, womanizing author. He wrote books, and he had all these crazy side things going on, these subplots. And then that ends. And then season 6, he's now writing for a TV show. He's in Hollywood. And it's just like, what the fuck's going on? And all the characters that you knew were gone. And you know what? It was still a good show. And I enjoyed the last 3 seasons, but they weren't nearly as good as the first 5. They just weren't. Mm-hmm. So maybe this ended. I could see them doing that. And it probably maybe would have been good. I don't know. It's Evil Dead and it's Ash. I just think if we got a season 4, and it was a takeoff of what we ended with, it would have been a lot more Army of Darkness to me. It just seems way more Army of Darkness. So who knows though? Or do you think that was just a cop-out ending? Like, oh man, we're going to get canceled probably. We don't know yet. So let's go ahead and end it. Just because, think about it. They would have been ending it like Army of Darkness and Evil Dead 2 ended, right? And that's not necessarily planning on going anywhere with it, but having that weird ending. It's fitting that it doesn't actually continue. So I wonder if they put that there just in case they got canceled, which they did. But what if they would have gotten picked up? Do you think there would have been any chance that the start of season 4 would have been like, it's all a dream and that never happened? Or they somehow go back?
Yeah, I don't know.
Or, Evil Dead's like the world of time travel. It's time travel.
Yeah.
They could have taken, old skunk hair Ash could have went back into the past again, right? To save. Mm-hmm. Yeah, when you have time travel, man, anything's possible. You can literally do anything with your story. That's what's great. So maybe it wouldn't have stayed in the post-apocalyptic world.
Right, yeah.
Which could have worked.
What if they just pulled an Evil Dead 2 and just acted like, oh, no, this is really what happened in the last couple minutes of the last season?
Oh,
just reenact it all.
So what do you think about the ending as far as what they did with it?
I think, I agree. It was I was bummed at first because I was like, I'll never know what happened there. But then I thought, it ends just like the movies end, with just kind of they never end all wrapped up and nice.
Yeah.
The closest thing we got to that was season 2 ending.
Yeah, and I guess that's the part that makes you feel like you got a bit of a hole in your stomach is obviously the Ash is still there and he kind of goes off and it does wrap up the whole arc and the whole series nicely kind of, but we really didn't get closure with Pablo and Kelly and the daughter, we assume that Kelly and Pablo got together, right?
Yeah.
That we assume that, but then there was that weird love triangle. Like she liked that one guy that was part of the Ash worshippers and it's like they had a thing. They never said it, but he kissed her.
He died though, didn't he?
Yeah, no, I know he died, but the whole time you could tell, which, I'm a sucker for a bit. I didn't mind the love story there. I didn't mind it because the whole season she thinks Pablo's dead and, you could tell she's actually, because in the first couple of seasons she acted annoyed by him, right? Like he's kind of like a nerd, like you're never going to try. So I enjoyed that growth of the characters. But yeah, she had this weird, because there was a lapse of time between season 2 and season 3 because Kelly had acted like she had went away. She had met that guy. They were probably fucking, all the while, Pablo had his fucking taco stand in front of Ash's hardware store, Ashy Slashy's hardware.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, there's some time. I wonder how much time passed from then and there. But anyway, so I can assume that they got together, but still you kind of wanted to see a little bit more. We didn't see anything happen, right? and they just got driven away. We don't know what happened with the daughter. We got nothing from her. So there was no closure there. So that's the only thing that kind of leaves you with an empty stomach. But what are you going to, but maybe they were going to wrap that up in 4. I don't know.
Maybe they assume like people don't care. They watch the show for Ash.
Maybe if season 4 would have gotten picked up, they just would have pulled in Aliens. Do you remember how they did it with Aliens? It's like Ripley woke up from being asleep for 57 years. Remember?
Mm-hmm.
She wakes up in the hospital and she's talking to Paul Reiser and she goes, "How long was I out?" And he kind of takes a deep breath and he goes, 57 years. And then the first thing she does is she asks about her daughter, because in the first Alien movie, she had a daughter. She mentioned her daughter back home, like it was her birthday or something. And, she asked about her daughter, and Paul Reiser had pictures and whatever, and she had died. And he handed her pictures when she was an old woman and said she lived a happy life.
Mm-hmm.
And that was it. And then, Aliens actually is kind of like that, where Alien established in a different time period, different characters. She was the lone survivor. And then she wakes up in Aliens and they just kind of wrap that up in 2 minutes. And then she's on. She meets new people and she's got a new mission,
Mm-hmm.
That's it. Also, Aliens is kind of like that too.
Like, would you grieve in that moment, even though she lived a full life and
she
it was good?
Ripley didn't. She didn't grieve. It was weird.
Yeah.
She didn't. She just kind of took in the information. She still had the cat because Jonesy the cat was in cryo sleep with her, so she still had the cat. But yeah, she just saw the pictures and she got out like a quick scene with a briefing of what happened to her. She didn't really have a mourning period. That would be a weird feeling.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, do I mourn that I left her and she didn't know what happened to me? Or whatever. But anyway, the movies do that kind of stuff where they just kind of, and they did it with Alien 3, which hopefully we'll talk about when we get to that, where they built a whole second movie developing this relationship with her and Michael Biehn and the little girl, and for them to star in the second one and be like, because Michael Biehn was damn near co-starring with Sigourney Weaver in that movie. Only for them to fucking kill him in the opening scene of the third one. Because I heard that's what pissed James Cameron off the most. But regardless, we'll get into all that when we do our Alien 3 retrospective with the assembly cut and versus the director's cut, which I'm excited about.
I'm looking forward to that, yeah.
I'm buckling down to do it. It's just getting the time. Maybe that can be something we do, because tomorrow I'm actually going to visit our good pal Riverman. You guys know Riverman. He lives across the country, and I'm flying out there and I'm going to hang out with him for 7 whole days. And you better believe we're going to be doing some podcasting and stuff. So maybe we can do that with Riverman.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I can talk to him tomorrow. Maybe, cause we're both on vacation. So we're going to be chilling out, watching movies and doing like we always did in his basement. So maybe I'll get him to watch, Alien 3, one of them with us, and we can knock that out. So, but anyway, that's kind of a segue. That's kind of a segue of the next like overview we're going to do. It's been a great idea that we've had that, I'm fascinated with the Alien series. It's got ups, it's got downs. Alien 3 is really fascinating to me because, everybody pans that movie. The directors, David Fincher disowns that movie because, producers got their hands on it and fucking edited the shit out of it and whatever. So the director's cut's one thing, but then they have the assembly cut, which adds on quite a lot of time. And there's changes in there and it's just a different cut. And because I almost went into some of the stuff that we'll talk about in the podcast, but literally a lot of the overtones and undertones of Fincher's Alien 3 were totally scrapped in the theatrical cut. And it helps things make more sense and enjoyable when they're there. Sometimes I understand why director's cuts are director's cuts, right? There's a reason why there's a cutting room floor. Mm-hmm. So, it's like when you watch the Terminator 2 director's cut and they, on the DVD and the Blu-ray, they plug all the scenes in. Mm-hmm. And so you're watching this. And I think on the DVD, you don't even get an option to watch the theatrical version. Look, watching the extended version with all those extra scenes back in place, it's fun from a nostalgic point of view. But when you watch those scenes, there's a reason why they got cut, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they really do wreck the flow of the movie. Like the scene where Sarah Connor's having the dream and Michael Bihn's in it.
Mm-hmm.
That scene, Michael Bihn's acting is what fucks it up. Like his acting is like, oh my God, because it's just I don't know, not the best.
On your feet, soldier.
Yeah, it's just it takes you out of the movie. The scene where Arnold Schwarzenegger smiles at John Connor, and it's the goofy smile that you see the meme online of everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
That scene, it's amazing and it's really funny, but it doesn't work because it's sandwiched between a lot of serious shit. You know, they're literally right after the scene, you see the kids playing with the guns, bang, bang. And, you know, it gets real dark and they're like, you know, what do they say?
It's in your nature to destroy yourselves.
Yeah, they go into all that. Like, what the fuck? And even James Cameron said, yeah, it just didn't work because the tone was just all over the place. So, but with the case of Alien 3, dude, that is a situation where the director's cut is better. It's better. Is it still really long and probably a bit too long? Yeah. I mean, they probably could have trimmed some shit off there, but dude,
that's why they don't call it a director's cut. They call it an assembly cut.
Yeah, because they disassembled that movie. It's not the same movie.
I think the assembly cut is the first cut you make whenever you're editing a movie. You just put all the scenes on the timeline in order, and that's called the assembly cut.
So yeah, it's probably a little thick as far as some of the content, but man, like I said, they removed crucial overtone. When you watch Aliens, I know we're kind of getting into this. We shouldn't get into this, but just kind of giving you guys like a prelude. When you watch Alien 3, it's a little boring. You don't really quite get it. I get it. She's on a prison colony planet and you got all these bald guys. All right, great. They're all horny. And it is what it is. It just kind of seems like a knockoff of the first Alien. You know, no weapons and the whole thing. And they're rehashing it. And you got a CGI alien running around. It's like, okay, it's like Alien, but not as good as Alien. And now it's like going from a Nintendo 64 back to an NES because this just came off of the heels, you know, some years later from Aliens, which was more, give us more power, more action, more creatures. Now we're going to strip it back down again. That seems like a bad idea. I like they went back to being a monster movie, one alien or whatever, no weapons, high stakes. I like that personally, but from a marketing standpoint, it was up against the wall. But when you figure out that on the assembly cut, the overtones, the undertones that Fincher had in place with the colony, the spirituality aspect of it, dude, it makes it a lot cooler. It makes it a lot better and it makes it make more sense. So anyway, I can't wait to talk about it because the assembly cut, I still say, I don't think it's like a perfect movie by any stretch, but it's like, I always describe it as it's almost a great movie. Like I can't say it's still flawed, but it's like, it's almost there. There's almost something there. So, and I think there's something for, you know, a flawed beauty, whereas 2's amazing and 1's amazing. So there's something about like that fucking weird redheaded stepchild, you know. Well, then we could go into fucking Alien Resurrection, which, you know, I don't know. To be honest with you, I have a soft spot for Alien Resurrection. I don't hate it. I don't hate it. I know a lot of people hate it, but to me, it's just a comic book. It's just super colorful. It's a comic book. You got more time travel in the future. Ripley's a fucking clone. It's super colorful. I think the aliens look great in that movie, you know, and it's a weird thing in the middle because you go from having one alien to literally having hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of those things to one again. And then in Alien Resurrection, I think there's 6. It's just, and the characters are over the top. Like it reminds me of Hellraiser Bloodline. It's like, I know Aliens is already in space, but it reminds me of Aliens in space. Like it's still the 4th Alien movie where they took it into the future in space. And the characters are hokey, you know, they're over the top and ridiculous. But so there's a soft spot for there. But anyway,
anyway, back to Ash vs. Evil Dead.
Sorry, we're getting derailed there. Well, I thought we were closing that out. I thought we closed that out.
I figured like before we close it out completely, you wanted to give like a rating to each season or just as the series as a whole. So
I have to say, we already kind of mentioned that season 1 was still kind of finding its footing, you know, maybe, you know, I'm not saying it did its job by introducing the characters and it had some great stuff. It had some good stuff and it had some meddling stuff, but overall, I think it did its job. And I love the way it ended where they were in fucking Florida and stuff, you know, it's pretty funny. Or was that the start of 2?
That might be 2. The first one ended with her like, I'll let you go if you just give me the book. And he's a dumbass, and he goes ahead and does that.
So I don't know what I would call the first season on a 10 scale. I'd probably call it, to be completely honest, I'd probably call it a 6.5.
I'd probably say 7.
Or 6.5 or 7, fine, you're rounding. Something like that. Season 2 and 3, man, I can't tell you. I think they're both 10s.
You're right, yeah.
I don't know which one's better because they were different, man. They were different. They were different enough. Like I said, season 2 had the story stuff. It had the slow parts. It had all of it was good. You had the weird ashy slashy mental hospital stuff fucking with his head. I mean, it was great. And then, but the third one, man, balls to the wall action. That's why it went so fast to me.
At the very least, I would definitely say it's must see. Like I would probably say it's one of the best like comedy horror series like out there. Like I'd say watch it before you watch fucking Walking Dead or something like that.
Yeah, I hate to say it, but it's like if we were going off like the law of averages, or if we're going off averages, if season 2 and 3 are perfect 10s, but season 1 is like a 7 or whatever, I guess you couldn't say the whole series as a whole is a 10 if you were going off like those rules. I guess it would be like a 9 or something. But you know what? I'm gonna say fuck those rules. I think 2 and 3 are so fucking good to where they more than make up for the you
can always give the first season a pass too, because they are like finding how it works and everything.
That's what I'm saying. 2 and 3 are so amazing to where they more than make up for the shortcomings of the first season. So I still give this show a perfect 10. The way I'll justify it is season 2 and 3 on a 10 scale, they're fucking 11s. So we're going to give the overage points to season 1 and it still balances out to a perfect 10. That's how good they are. So, and it's worth it. It's still good. Like it's worth watching the first season the first season is necessary. I mean, because you enjoy the second season because of the first season. So, yeah, I don't know. I think the show, I don't know, man. What are we comparing it to? Because a show like
it really does just kind of stand on its own. You can't really compare it to a lot of things.
I can't, because when I think of a perfect show, honestly, I'm not when it comes to movies, I'm like, we veer towards older stuff. I'm not really a big fan of newer stuff. TV's kind of backwards, man. When I watched Breaking Bad, dude, I was like, this is the greatest show of all time. It's so good. It's like modern televisions. It's like the golden era of television. And, but maybe I think that show's perfect 10, but you know what? Like I said, I don't think 5 is quite as good as 4, but you can't expect it to be riding high every single season. Like because Breaking Bad, each season literally got better up until season 4. Each one got a little better, a little like, oh my!
It's like with a movie, you don't count the scenes that this scene that it's a little slow. I'm gonna deduct a point. You just you judge it as a whole.
Yeah.
And so that first season can be like a lot of it was character building and stuff. You kind of just give it a pass for.
But it's funny though because. So if it's just saying it stands on its own, I give it a 10. If you're making me go head to head with something like, okay, did I enjoy Ash vs. Evil Dead better, or did I enjoy my experience with Breaking Bad? I give it to Breaking Bad, right? I was enthralled by that. But in Breaking Bad, dude, I love the first season. But every season they kept topping it. They kept getting better and better up until the 5th season. So it was funny. Each one got better and better and better. Then you hit a super high in 4. And then it kind of got knocked down a peg for 5. So that kind of broke the consistency a little bit. But like I said, maybe that's kind of like the season 1 of Ash vs. Evil Dead, where it was wrapping something up. It kind of had its shortcomings. I don't know. But they're both great shows. They're both different. It's hard to compare them, but I don't know. This is just a good time. I think it works. I would have liked another season or 2, but you know what? I kind of liked how they were only like 30, 40 minutes. It really worked for this type of show. So
I give the series a 10 out of 10 too.
I have to. So, yeah. Well, that's great. I don't know what else to say. I'm really sad. We're going to watch it again. So I wish Riverman could have been a part of this. Part of me was tempted to wait until I got to his neck of the woods tomorrow. Maybe he hasn't seen it yet. I was going to rewatch the series and the season with him. So
he liked season 2 a lot better than the first one too, right?
We kept telling him, like, dude, because he watched the first one and he was kind of like me, where he's like, yeah, I liked it, but he wasn't exactly invested to go back and watch the second one right away. That's kind of how I was.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah, I liked it. It's good. That's exactly. And I was like, dude, no, you gotta watch this.
And we were like, no, season 2 though. Yeah, that's season 2.
You gotta watch it. And he watched it and he thought it was awesome. And everything, he could have echoed everything that we're saying. So if he was here, so he's excited to watch season 3. I got it on the Vudu, so I'm going to go over there and we're going to watch it. And, but yeah, I'll get him roped in and see if we can do some Alien 3 action, and we can get like his quick opinion of it when we're doing a podcast with him, because I'm sure he'll love it. But anyway, I think that wraps everything up. I think we milked a good hour and 10 minutes talking about that show, but, yeah, I want more. I hope it's not totally dead. I know he says that, but
I think there's always a fucking never say never.
Well,
I think if Sam Raimi called him up and said, no, I really want to do this, we got to put an ending on it.
Yeah.
I think he'd probably do it.
Dude, how cool would it be if Evil Dead 4 Army of Darkness 2 was the continuation of the series and it was that whole thing? That would be awesome in film version. But, yeah, I mean, the thing is Bruce Campbell, it was like the Guns N' Roses reunion. Bruce Campbell was saying, no, Evil Dead's done for fucking years before we got this, right?
Right, yeah.
He was saying the same thing. And now he's saying, now there's like a video game coming out. He said he's got an obligation where he's got to do the voice of Ash or whatever. So I don't know what that's, maybe it's like Dead by Daylight or whatever. Who knows what it is, but it's a video game project coming out. And he went on record a couple days ago saying, you know what, I think they should continue the Mia storyline. And I know Fede Alvarez was teasing just like a month ago, like on Twitter, like, okay, should I do this?
Listen to him. He's all humble, acting like we give a shit about Mia.
Nah, nobody does.
You can't just put anybody in Evil Dead and they be interesting.
But wasn't Fede Alvarez on Twitter or something? Wasn't he saying like he was doing like a little Twitter poll where, okay, if it's this, I do an original movie, or if it's this, Evil Dead 2.
Original movie wasn't even on there. It was like, oh, you want a sequel to Evil Dead or a sequel to Get Out or whatever.
Or Don't Breathe. No, it was two of his
Don't
movies.
Breathe.
It was 2 of his movies.
I would have preferred an original movie. Don't make a sequel to either of them.
Yeah, sequels are fucking stupid. But anyway, and then the Evil Dead one, and I think he was doing little teasers. It sounds like there's some Evil Dead 2 talks.
Mm-hmm.
It sounds like there is. So, but you know what? I wouldn't say no to it, because if the Ash thing is put to sleep right now, if they come out with Evil Dead 2 Fede Alvarez's, all that's going to do is give us more chance of an Ash thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because if they actually keep that story going, maybe they'll, and if it actually does, I don't think it'll make its money. I don't think it's not going to do any better than the first one if it even does that well. But if it makes its money back and there's interest, maybe they'll revamp that whole idea of the Army of Darkness 2, or they'll kind of skip that whole part and they'll just go straight to blending the timelines, right?
Mm-hmm.
And bring Ash into it. So whatever brings Ash back, I would be okay with. The Evil Dead remake, it wasn't good, but it also didn't ruin the classics for me. You know what I mean? So it's not like, don't make it. Don't, it's going to fucking ruin my childhood. They can make it. I don't give a shit, man. It's not like it's Dumb and Dumber 2 shitting all over the best comedy ever. It's just, they can make it all they want. We're used to Hollywood remaking shit and doing stuff. And we're so desensitized by it now that it doesn't ruin the classic stuff for me anymore. So they can do it. Whatever. I would go see it. I know I complain about the original remake, but we'd both go see it, wouldn't we?
Mm-hmm.
We'd have to put our stamp on it. And maybe they would learn from certain things and they would make it better. But like I said, anything that's going to put the franchise on the radar again is a good thing. But anyway, I think that's a good final statement. Thank you guys for listening. If you guys are on YouTube, make sure you guys are subscribing and clicking that notification bell. If you are on YouTube and you don't realize it, we actually are on podcast networks. That's where we're actually most suitable. So check out the links below in the description and you'll find links to our Apple podcast link. We got Google Play and we're on Stitcher. And if you think we deserve it, head over to one of those links, something like Apple Podcasts, iTunes, and leave us a 5-star rating. Leave us good feedback if you think we earned it. Leave us a nice little review too, because that stuff is like gold currency in the land of podcasts and it helps us expand. And we definitely want that. And share with your friends. So that's about all we got. Stay tuned. We have, I don't know when this is going to go up, Zach. I don't know, but maybe by the time this is up, we have Blair Witch 2 out.
Mm-hmm.
Commentary. If not, that's coming right away. So I don't know if that's out right now, but we got a whole bunch of shit on the channel, man. We got tons of commentaries from all different genres going back quite a long time. We literally got hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of hours of entertainment. And also check out Mac and Zach Save the World. That's Zach's other show with his hetero life mate, Mac. And also we have The Deep End with myself, Aaron Lipscomb. It's a different type of breed as well. It's more topical and, that stuff's on there. Retro Rampage. If you guys like games, we just don't take it too seriously. We sit down and we play a game. We talk a bunch of bullshit. And those are just really laid back and they're really fun. They kind of offset all the other stuff we do just to kind of relax a bit. So all that stuff's on there and scours through there. And there's a whole bunch of cool interviews over the years too. We've done with some fine folks. But that's all we got. We'll catch you guys next time. Zach, you've been great. I've been better. I'm just kidding. Zach's the best. We'll talk to you guys later. Bye bye, puppets.
Hell yeah.
Did you know that on the last, the one we recorded earlier, I didn't say bye bye puppets for the first time ever? I forgot about that. I was in a rush. Yeah. It
couldn't have been the first time ever. You used to never say it.
Well, you know what I mean. The first time this is like, that's so funny.
Yeah.
That'll be like the Easter egg, the lost episode. Like that'll be whenever they come out with a Trivial Pursuit Revival House edition. That'll be on one of the question cards. Like, which episode did Aaron not say the catchphrase? And only Adrian Mendoza will know that it was fucking Blair Witch 2.